Hi man, welcome back to another YouTube video. I wanted to make this video because pretty much, a year ago today, or not today, a year around, sorry, I'm extremely tired leaving for Ironman 70.3 Hawaii in 2 days, been packing and doing stuff all day, so bear with me. But what I was saying, around a year ago in this time, I just got done with my most successful cut. It was the leanest I'd ever gotten, and I gained back pretty much all the weight within like 3 weeks. And this is a super common problem, like the yo-yoing, the back and forth, where you lose weight, you gain it, and you lose it again, and you gain it, and it's a never-ending cycle. So this is essentially why that happens. After living it myself and seeing other people do it, I've gained a pretty good idea of, why does this yo-yoing actually happen? Why does this rebounding happen? And I want to share this with you so that you don't make the same mistakes and that you can have an actual solid plan of attack for the next time you want to diet down. The first problem actually starts with having the wrong goals. Social media has completely warped your perception and my perception of what a healthy, natural physique should look like. It's not 6% body fat. It's straight up not. And so many people think they have to chase like sub 10 and get down to like 8%, 7% to look good. That's not the case at all, and it will backfire on you. That might be like a peak. Like if you want to get really diced for whatever occasion, okay, that might be your peak, but that is not sustainable. And when you set these super ambitious goals, you get there, which is great, but you don't realize that the person you were, 12, 16 weeks ago is not the same person that you are now. Not just physically, but mentally. Your habits have changed. Your mindset towards food has changed. Your hunger is through the roof, and your hormones are just like crashed. So you don't operate the exact same way you did before. So you can't expect the same routine. You can't be like, oh yeah, I can sustain this amount of calories right now. It'll be the exact same when I'm 20 pounds lighter. Not the case. Once you drop to a certain range of body fat, you begin to act different. So back into why this happens. Why do you crash and then you get really lean and then you rebound and then you go through this whole process? Why does this happen? Because a lot of people think the discipline that took them to that lean physique will just carry them, but here's why that fails. Because in a diet, you have so much structure. You know how much to eat, how many steps to get, your lifting routine, like weighing out your food, everything is structured. So you just have to be a disciplined individual and you can just follow the plan. You can honestly turn your brain off and follow this plan and you're gonna see results. And that's not the difficult part. It sounds like it's the difficult, like, oh, you're eating in a deficit, that's super hard, blah, blah, blah. No. What's difficult is afterwards when you don't have that structure, when it's kind of just like, oh wow, the floodgates are open. You don't know what to do. You're a fish out of water. And so because you don't have an exit strategy, combined with the fact that your hunger is just like abnormally high, the hormones like your testosterone is extremely low, you're all over the place and you don't have a plan. And so in your head, you're saying the diet's over and you can go back to normal eating, but because of all these different changes, you're gonna go overboard. It's almost inevitable. So that is essentially the first reason why this goes wrong. You are chasing the wrong target. And by doing this, you're setting yourself up for failure and you're never gonna actually achieve a look that you like, that you number one like, and number two can sustain. Because it doesn't matter if you like it if you can't sustain it. I love the way I looked a year ago. I couldn't sustain it for more than 4 weeks. That's just how it went. I lived and I learned, but it's 100% real and it happens to so many people. Now, within that topic, hyperfixating on the look is something else that will also drive rebounding. If you are so concerned with how you look and it's just constantly checking the mirror, checking the scale, comparing photos, and I'm saying this because I used to do all of this, comparing photos, like if you are that hyperfixated, it's literally a matter of time before you go overboard. Because extremes lead to extremes. If you are extremely disciplined and dialed in and just not even having a little bit of a treat or a day off or a day back at maintenance and you're just go, let me get shredded, that extreme will eventually lead to going overboard. Because you've been in a restricted state for so long, once you get a small taste of freedom, you're like, holy crap, I need to go crazy. We all know the goal of fitness is to enhance our life, not be our life. But for some reason, when chasing these like arbitrary goals of body fat percentage, we just get so caught up in the look. The look, how do I look? Am I lean enough? Am I lean enough? Like you have to be able to take a step back and say, okay, if I just got into the gym, like would I be happy with this physique? because most of the time you just get extremely precise with every single little thing that's wrong with you, every small little pocket of fat, when in reality that's just how your body looks normally. Like, you don't have to be completely paper thin on every single spot on your body to look good, but you've been conditioned to think that. And remember, you have to think about your lifestyle. The look doesn't serve you if you can't operate, if you can't hang out with friends and family with energy, if you can't enjoy a meal with someone, your partner. Like, it's supposed to enhance your life. And so when the mirror is the only metric, you've essentially lost the plot. And it's very tough. It is very tough, especially when you're getting leaner and you're looking better. But again, you have to step back and say, okay, I want to look better. I want to lose this weight, but at what point do I say that's enough? Because there is a tipping point where you go from making progress, getting healthier, to, okay, now we are unhealthy. Now this is becoming physique obsessed and not lifestyle holistic obsessed. And the last problem that people typically have with their diet is the timing. And this sounds like it's not that big of a deal, but the timing matters a lot. And that's what I messed up originally. I did this cut. I cut for like 8 weeks, I think. As soon as it ended, 2-week vacation to Europe with my best friends who eat a lot of food. That was definitely a reason I put a lot of weight back on, because I went from literally like nothing, like egg whites, cod, sweet potato, broccoli, to fried cheese, beef, sweets, ice cream, you name it, in a matter of weeks. And you have to be able to time your diets appropriately. There will be a chunk of time in the year that it's best for you to diet down. And I don't know what time that is for you, but what I can say what it's not. Typically, holidays, I would advise against ending a diet right before the holidays. Even dieting through the holidays is tough because it's not fun to be restricted in that sense, but you don't want to end your diet right before Thanksgiving or Christmas time, because there's just so much food and there are so many parties and all this stuff going on. You're going to be in this like primal state of I need to eat everything, and it's going to be really easy to do that. So holidays, vacations, any trips, big events where you can't necessarily gradually ease out of the diet and you're going to go from 0 to 100, that is a recipe for failure. And to be completely honest, I don't care how disciplined you are, if you get put in the scenario where you diet down and you get really lean and then you get thrown out into a vacation, you're going crazy. I hate to say it, but you're going to have at least a couple of meals or days where you're just like, bro, I don't care anymore. Like, this is so good. I just want to keep eating. It's kind of inevitable. So you want to keep that in mind. Find a chunk of time, find a couple of months during the year where you don't have a lot going on, and set up your diet during that time. That'll also allow you to have some buffer in between, some trips or holidays or plans where you can return back to a normal state of hunger and hormones, and then you can just go about your life normally. Now, in terms of the solution for this, I would say there are 3 main steps. The first step is going back to the first problem, which is just to set realistic targets. Like, don't aim for 7% body fat or 6% body fat. And if you are aiming for that, you have to understand the consequences and the repercussions of getting that lean. Remember, the slower the diet, the less fatigue, which is going to make it easier to revert back to normal life. And I'm not saying lose just half a pound a week, but I'm saying if you go super aggressive for a really long period of time, that's just you're going to burn out. So I would recommend taking it a little bit slower. You lessen the fatigue, and it's just an easier, smoother transition back out. Also, with this target, 12% to 15% in terms of body fat is ideal for most people. This is very relative, and it depends a lot on your genetics and just how your body operates, but anything below 12% kind of reaches that point where you're going to start to notice some negative trade-offs. But being in that 12 to 15% range allows you to not only look good, but also feel good. You're going to have enough energy to go work out. You can go do 2 workouts a day. You're not going to be starving all the time. You can get good sleep. You're not going to be experiencing the symptoms that you would at sub 10% body fat. Next up, and I would say this is arguably most important, is the exit strategy. Again, this has to be gradual. Just because the diet ends on a certain day on the calendar doesn't mean that the floodgates are loose, because you're in a very sensitive state to put weight back on. You've been deprived for so long, your body's screaming for food. And so if you give it that opportunity, the fat will come back on almost instantly. And I've done this multiple times, honestly, and it goes straight to the midsection. Slowly bring your calories back up. This could be 100 a week, 100 every couple of weeks, You don't want to jump right back up plus 800 calories instantly. And you also want to keep tracking in the same way that you were tracking during your diet. Because again, nothing is changing yet except for the amount of calories. You're just slowly incorporating more calories. But if you quit tracking, you quit cardio, you quit all the other habits you were practicing, you're just gonna like do a complete 180, and your body's gonna freak out. So all you're doing is the exact same things you were doing during your diet, except now you're 150 calories higher, and then the next week you're 250 calories higher. And this gives your body a chance to slowly be like, okay, we're getting more food, we're understanding what's happening, we're gonna ramp back up to our normal levels. And then after, this depends on how long you diet for, but after a couple weeks to months, you're gonna return to that previous state of hunger and hormones, except you're gonna be in a leaner body, which is the ultimate goal. And lastly, when it comes to maintaining these results, it is so important to own your own decisions, own the process. And you have to look at it like this. You have to look at it like, okay, I'm in this physique. Let's say I drop 10 pounds. I'm 10 pounds leaner, right? The weight isn't just gonna magically reappear. And a lot of people think that it just happens like that, oh, that's what happens after a diet. No, I can completely control this new look of minus 10 pounds. It's completely based on my inputs. So given that, I can make the decision okay, is it worth it to follow my plan and follow my program? Are the benefits on the other side of this worth it to me? Yes. So I'm going to keep tracking my calories. I'm going to keep up with my cardio, my training, all my other habits. My body's not just going to magically put on this weight. That happens when you go overboard. And ultimately, you have to be making choices because you want a certain result, not because you feel obligated to do something. Do whatever you want, but you have to look at yourself and be like, all right, what am I going to prioritize? Am I going to prioritize maintaining these results that I worked so hard for? Or am I going to prioritize the instant gratification of just shoving my face with whatever for 2 weeks straight? And once you exercise that free will of I'm making an active choice to stay proactive in my process and stay up to tune with my calories and still on top of things, it becomes you controlling the diet, not the diet controlling you. And that was the mindset shift that changed everything for me once I regained control. So I wanted to share that just because it's something that I dealt with in the past and I had to kind of figure it out on my own. But this is a skill. It is a skill from actually getting in shape to maintaining that new body. It's all a skill. And the second part is so much harder than people give it credit for, because you don't know what to do, and you feel like you did all the work and you feel like you're disciplined, but now you're just confused. You're like, whoa, this is too good to be true. And then you start playing mind games in your head. Stay patient, trust the process, and master the exit so that you don't have to start over again. Appreciate you watching. I'll probably make a follow-up video going more into the details of this because it's a very complex process, but appreciate you tuning in. Catch you in the next one.